शारदे पाहि मां शङ्कर रक्ष मां 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 शारदे पाहि मां शङ्कर रक्ष मां
शारदा शारदाम्बोज वदना वदनाम्बुजे सर्वदा सर्वदा अस्माकं सन्निधिं क्रियाद शङ्खारूपेण मच्चित्तं पङ्कीगदं पूजय किङ्करीय श्यामाय शङ्कराचार्यमाश्रये प्रह्लादवरदोदिहवो यो नृसिंहपरो हरिः नरसिंहोपासकं नित्यं तन्नृसिंहगुरुं भजे श्री भारती कर्णापात्रं भारती पदभूषणं भारती पदमारूढं भारती तीर्थमाश्रये विद्या विनय संपन्नं वीतरागविवेकिनं वन्दे वेदान्त तत्त्वज्ञं विदुशेखर भारतीं सद्गुरु चरणारविन्दाभ्यो नमः हरिः ओम श्री गुरुभ्यो नमः हरिः ओम. Thank you all for joining this Vande Vidya Shankaram program. We are continuing with the Dharma Sastra and Nyaya Shastra lectures. Dr. Jambunathan, please take it away. Thank you.
Namaste. Thank you so much. And namaskarams to all devotees, and wishing all of you a very happy and colorful Deepavali, and may the Deepas remove our ignorance, disease and poverty and give us wealth, health and knowledge. That is the prayers for all of us in Deepavali. And Shuklam Bharadharam Vishtam Shashivarnam Sadarbhujam Prasannavadaram Dhyaya Chara Vignopashante Vakradunda Mahakaya Kodichuri Samaprabha Nirvignam Kurume Deva Sarva Karyesh Sarvada Om Mahagadabade Namaha Guru Brahma Guru Vishnu Guru Deva Maheshwara Guru Dakshat Param Brahma Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha Jnanananda Mayam Devanirmala Spatikakritim Adaram Sarva Vidyanam Hayagrim Upasmahem. So much, for some reason, my screen is small, looks more dark. Just want to check. Guru Brahma Om Sadashiva Samarambam Shankaracharya Madhyamam Asmatacharya Paryantam Vande Gurum Paramparam Sruti Smriti Purananam Alayam Karunalayam Namami Bhagavat Padam Shankaram Lokashankaram Harigi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. So we are in the third chapter of Manusmriti, and we were discussing about Atiti Yajnam, which is one of the Panchamaha Yajnas, the Brahma Yajnam, Deva Yajnam, Pitru Yajnam, Manusha Yajnam and Bhuta Yajnam. The Manusha Yajnam is also called Atiti Yajnam, which is the unexpected guest who comes during the Vaishvadevam time. And last month it was appropriate, we had Mahalaya Amavasya during our lecture day, so we covered some of the Pitru Tarpanam related topics and the Shraddham related topics and the appropriate Manusmriti slokas. Today we are exactly in the middle of the Deepavali. Today is the Naraga Chaturdashi and tomorrow is the Lakshmi Puja, which is the auspicious time. So we will just briefly recapitulate some of the important the ritualistic or the Puranic aspects of Deepavali, and that to commemorate Deepavali, which is one of the major Hindu events which is being celebrated all over the world. And as per the our Shastras, there are 3 or 4 important events which are coinciding, which cause this Deepavali. One is the Kurma Avataram events, which happens during Lord Vishnu's Avatara in the Kurma Avatara. The tortoise where he helps to hold the Mandara mountain, and using Vasuki as the as the rope, the Devas and Asuras churn out the milky ocean to get all the wealth and the Amrita from that. So that is one part, is the Kurma Avatara is supposed to have happened during this particular time phase eons ago. So some of the events in Deepavali are related to the Kurma Avatara events. Some of the events in Deepavali are related to the Krishna Avatara events. Kurma Avatara is number 2 Avatara and Krishna Avatara is number 9 Avatara. So there is a gap, but the Krishna Avatara events also, especially the Narakasura Vatham, which is described in the Bhagavatam chapters, where Krishna along with Satyabhama go to the Pratyakshapura, Pratyak Jyotishpura, which is current Assam actually, geographically, where Narakasura had his fortress and was troubling the Devas and all people all around all the three worlds, and Krishna had to go and do a samharam for him to help the world come back again from the clutches of the evil Narakasura. So that is another event. And Krishna holding the Govardhanagiri to protect the people from Vrindavan from the onslaught of Indra's rains also happened during this 5-day period. So Krishna Avatara events, the Narakasura Vatham and the Govardhana Giridhara happens during this 5-day time period. Kurma Avatara, the birth of Dhanvantri, who is the god of Ayurveda, who is generally considered the god for all physicians and who preserves the health of the members of the universe. So he is the universal doctor, Dhanvantri. Everybody has their own doctor, but the universal doctor is god Dhanvantri. So that is his birthday, the Dhanvantri Jayanti, and as well as Mahalakshmi. Even Mahalakshmi comes Shiro the Sambhavaya Namaha. She herself comes only from the ocean. She's called Shira Sagara Sambhavaya Namaha, one who takes her birth from the ocean, and that's why she becomes Chandra Sahodri, because even Chandra is supposed to have come out of the Milky Ocean. That's why she becomes a sister of Chandra, Chandra Sahodri Namaha, Shiro Sagara Shira Sagara Sambhavaya Namaha. These are all different names given to goddess Lakshmi. So that is why we have to pray goddess Lakshmi during this time period. So the birth of Dhanvantri as well as the origin of goddess Lakshmi seem to have happened during this time period. So that is one of the other set of events. And then the third set of event is when Yamadharmaraja, the god who is ruling over the Pitruloka and who decides the fate of all the dead people, he decides the souls where it has to go based upon the merits and demerits, whether they go to Swarga, they go to Naraga, or they come back to the earth, or those kind of decisions. And he's the one in charge of the death industry in our Hindu philosophy, and he comes to actually the earth field. So he's coming from his Pitruloka to the earth to visit his sister. So when some big gust come, even if for example Bharatitha Swamiji goes to a village, people are preparing 10 days ahead. They create all these nice toranams. They get all these for getting the Purna Kumbha, they get things ready, and when the Acharya comes, they offer this. So it's very common. When a chief minister is going to come to a particular city, they prepare even 5 days ahead. The chief minister is going to come here, and they make all arrangements. So same way, Yamadharma is actually coming to visit his sister Yamuna, and because he is coming closer to the earth plane, we all have to respect Yama when he is here, because he is not Pitruloka. And it's very interesting. In Mahalaya Paksha time, which just happened, almost few weeks ago, from September 6th to September 22nd of this year, we had our Mahalaya Paksha, and then we had 10 days of Navaratri after that. During Mahalaya Paksha, all the Pitrus from the Yamaloka come to the earth, and that's why we have to honor the Pitrus. And Yama is alone in the Yamaloka, and now he comes down, and the Pitrus are supposed to go back to the Pitruloka. So that also happens during this time period. So Yama comes to the earth plane, and because Yama is coming to the earth plane, we have to do the Yamadibam, the Yama Tarpanam to honor his things. And when you do those special prayers to those devas, you get some benefits also. So that is why the Trayodasi, the Trayodasi, the Ashwayuja Krishna Paksha Trayodasi, the Aswayuja Chaturdasi, the Amavasya, then comes the Ashwayuja Shukla Paksha Pratama, and the Sukla Paksha Dvitiya. These 5 days, the 13th, 14th, and the 15th day of the waning phase of the moon, and the first and second of the waxing phase of the moon. These 5 days are considered the Deepavali time period. So it starts with the Trayodashi time, which is called, that is when the Dhanvantri Jayanti happens. So that's why special prayers are offered to God Dhanvantri at that time. And then there is also the Yamadipam. And there is the Deepavali itself is called Deepavali because you light lamps. People light lamps, but they give different reasons. And for example, in North India, the reason they give for lighting lamps is Rama's arrival to Ayodhya. See, Rama is in the, he completes the war with Ravana. And it is said that the day he defeats Ravana is what is Vijayadashmi. Rama prays to goddess Parashakti, and according to the Devi Bhagavatam, that's how he attains the powers to destroy Ravana, and Ravana Samhara happens. So Vijayadashami in North India is celebrated as Rama's victory over Ravana. Whereas Rama, after killing Ravana, comes back to Bharadwaja Ashrama through the Pushpaka Vimana, and then he goes and meets Bharata in the outskirts of the city, because Bharata is ruling Ayodhya from the outskirts of the city, and then with the Bharata he all goes back to Ayodhya together. So the day when he arrives back to Ayodhya is Deepavali. So Vijayadashmi happened 3-4 weeks ago, so it makes sense. Rama finishing the war, coming to Bharadwaja Ashrama, then meeting Bharata, coming back to Ayodhya. So the Vijayadashmi is celebrated as Rama's victory over Ravana, whereas Rama's return back to Ayodhya after 14 years is Deepavali, and that's why they all light lamps to welcome Rama, to give a very festive occasion. So that also seems to have happened during this time, this particular time period. So that's why in North India, but in our Sastras, we are supposed to light the earthen lamps. You have the lamp names of we called Manvelak in Tamil, which is the agal. In English, it's basically you light lamps made up of earthen pots, and then you put oil in them, and then you light it. You are supposed to do it on the 13th day, which is the 13th Ashvayuja Shukla Paksha Krishna Paksha Trayodasi, the Ashvayuja Krishna Paksha Chaturdasi, which is actually the Naraga Chaturdasi, and the Amavasya day. You are supposed to light lamps on all those 3 days, and by the 3 days you light for 3 different reasons. So the light which you light on the 13th day, you are doing it for Yama, because I said Yama is coming to the earth plane close by, and to visit his sister Yamuna, which happens on the Shukla Paksha Dvitiya day. So that's when people have to light lamps, and it's there are different ways of lighting the lamps, but in South Indian tradition, if there are 5 members in the family, each member lights a lamp, and this lamp is supposed to be specifically facing southwards, because Yama belongs to south direction. Even in the Ashtadik Balakas, Yama controls the south direction. So, the southwest is Nairuti and northwest is Vayu. South is controlled by Yama. So, Yama's direction is south. You face the Deepa towards the south, and you say, Mrityuna Pashadandabhyam Kalena Shamaya Saha Trayodashyam Deepadanat Surya Jaha Priyata Mama. So, Trayodashi, during this Trayodashi, O Lord Yama, Shamaya means Shamaya is his wife, coming along with Shamaya. Yama, who is coming with all his weapons along with his wife. To this Yama, on the Trayodashi day, I light this lamp. By lighting this lamp, Surya Ajaha. Surya Ajaha means the son of Surya. Surya Ajaha, Surya Jaha Priyata Mama. The son of Surya, let him get pleased by the lamp I offer. So by offering this simple lamp with a small prayer, it suppose Yama is very happy, and it seems it prevents you from apamrityu dosham, which means this untimely death, unexpected or untimely death. Everybody has to die one day, but the question is, you don't want to die at a very young age or a very unexpected time when the family needs you most. So the apamrityu dosha is removed by this simple step of doing the earthen pot lamp facing the south direction on the Yamatrayodashi during the Pradosha time period, which is around 5 to 7. You can light the lamp. And like I said, in North Indian tradition, they light 13 lamps, 1-3, because for the Trayodasi day there is 13 lamps. But in our South Indian, it's 1 per family member. So if you have 10 members in the family, you light 10 lamps. So that's how the tradition is, and you tell this prayer. And on the prayer, this happened, this Yama Trayodashi also happened to be Sani Trayodashi. The 2 brothers, Yama and Shani, are brothers, if you know. Yama is the son of Vaivasata Manu and Usha, whereas Sani is the Chaya and Surya's son is Sani. So they are stepbrothers actually, Yama and Sani. Even the sloka says, Neelandra Samabhasam Raviputram Yamagrajam Chaya Martanda Sambudam Tamnamami Shanaisharam. which means Nilandana Samabhasam Raviputram, the son of Surya, Yama Agraja is the brother of Yama. To that Shani I offer prayer. That's how even the Navagraha Stotra comes. Nilandana Samabhasam Raviputram Yamagrajam Chaya Martanda Sambudam Tam Namami Shanaishwaram. Chaya Martanda. Martanda is Surya, the son of Saya and Martanda. To that Shani I offer the prayers. So Yama Agraja. So this Trayodasi was very special. It was Shani Trayodasi and Yama Trayodasi. It happened to be both Trayodasis the day, yesterday day, very special day. So you should offer prayers to Shani as well as Yama. It doesn't mean every Trayodasi, next Diwali is going to have this combination. But this is only called Yama Trayodasi. But this Yama Trayodasi also happened to be Shani Trayodasi for this year. So that is the 13th day. So offering prayers to God Dhanvantri and offering prayers to Yama through the Deepam is considered important on the Trayodasi day. And some people in North India also do special Dhanalakshmi Puja, because it is said that Lakshmi comes from the ocean during this time period. So they also do some pujas for Lakshmi also on this the 13th day, but that's not common in South India. Then on the 14th day, the Chaturdasi, that is the most important. We discussed it even last year. When the Chaturdasi Tithi has the Brahma Muhurta, that combination should be there. That is what is called Naraga Chaturdasi. And that is when you have to do the Abhyanjana Snana, which is put oil in your head early morning before even the sun is rising. It should be when it is still dark in the Brahma Muhurtam time. You are supposed to put oil in your head and take hot water bath. Normally, Shastras recommend only cold water bath, but in this day it is hot water bath, and it is said, Taile Lakshmi Jaleshu Ganga this day, which means Ganga comes in all water these days. And the Taile, in the oil, the Lakshmi comes. So if you put oil and you say Ganga, 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 when you take bath, it is like doing Ganga Snanam. So that day, Ganga blesses everybody with Ganga Snanam. If you take a hot water bath on the early morning of the Naraga Chaturdasi and chant Ganga's name, it is equal to taking a direct Ganges bath itself. So that is why even in Tamil, it's very common tradition, Ganga Snanam Acha, we ask everybody. So that is what is very important. And then after the Abhinjana Snanam, and then you wear your new clothes and you celebrate with the family. But there is another important event. You do Yama Tarpanam. So you do Yama Deepam on the 13th day. The Yama Tarpanam right after the Abhinjana Snanam, and you do Sandhya Vandanam right after that itself. Normally Tarpanams are supposed to be done around 10:30, 11. Later in the afternoon is better. Later in the day or early in the afternoon. But Yama Tarpanam can be done in the morning itself, like after you are doing Sandhya Vandanam, everything. And there are some interesting points about this Yama Tarpanam because Yama is unique, and this Smriti Mukta Phalam captures this very nicely. I'll read the Sanskrit slokas and then explain. Deepotsava Chaturdashyam. Deepa Utsava Chaturdashyam means the Deepa Utsava means Deepavali time. During the Deepavali Chaturdashyam, Deepa Utsava Chaturdashyam, Karyam to Yama Tarpanam, Krishna Angaraka Chaturdashyam api Karyam Sadaivava. Nyaya Dharma Rajaya Mrityave Shantakaya cha Vaivasadaaya Kalaya Sarvabhutakshaya cha Audumbraya Dadnaya Nilaya Parameshtine Brigodharaya Chitraya Chitraguptaya Vai Namaha. Chaturdashe te mantraha syu pratyektam tu namo anvitaha ekaikase tilair mishran trin krutva jalanjalin yava jivakrutam papam takshanat eva nashyati iti. Krishna Pakshe Chaturdashyam Ankaraka Dinam Yada Tada Snatva Shubhe Toye Kurvi Yamatarpanam Krishna Pakshe Sadrushyamyam Kanchit Saritam Prati Yamunayam Visheshena Netas Tarpayet It Yamam Iti. And then the Skanda Purana sloka says, this is directly taken from the Skanda Purana. Dakshina Bhi Muko Bhutva Tilai Savyam Samahitaham sorry. Devatirtena Devatva Tilai Pretadipo Yataha iti Yagyobhavitana Karyam Prachina Viti Atava Yagyobhavitina Karyam Prachina Vitini Atava Devattam cha Pitrutam cha Yamasyasti Dvirupita iti Tarpanan Antaram Japi Antram Mukhe Apyuktaham Yamo Nihanto Pitru Dharmarajo Vaivaswado Dandadarascha Kalaha Pretadipo Dattakrutanusari Krutanta Etad Dashakrut Japanti Neelaparvata Shankasho Rudrakoma Samudbhavaha Kalo Dandadaro Devo Vaivaswada Namostute Evam Kurvitaha Phalamaha Yamaha Yatra Kvachana Nadyam hi Snatva Krishna Chaturdashyam Santarpya Dharmarajam tu muchyate sarva kilbishaihi. So the first one was taken from the Smriti Chandrika, and the second slokas were taken from the Skanda Purana. It describes the uniqueness of Yama. Very unique statement is Devatirtena Devatva Tilaihi Pretadipo Yataha iti. Prachina Visa Atava Yagnopavitina. So Yama is a Deva. But interestingly, he is the in charge of all the pretas, all the dead people. So he start. Remember, we have Pitrukaryam and Devakaryam. Normally, for Pitrukaryams, you are supposed to, if you have kudmi, the tuft, you are supposed to left open the tuft open, and then you are supposed to put the punal in the prachina viti when it goes from the right shoulder to the left wrist. And those are things you follow when you, and then when you do tirtham, you leave it through the thumb. So those are all special rules when you do Pitrukaryam. When you do Devakaryam, you have to have Yagnopavitam or the normal Nivi, the Pravich, the regular Niviti or the which goes from the left shoulder to the right wrist. And then you also have to do the Kudmi has to be tied up, and you should have all the Urdhva Pundram or the Vibhuti in your head, in your forehead. All these are the rules for Devakaryam, and you offer with directly, like you don't offer like this. You offer like this for Devatirtham. So, and for Devas, they like Akshadas. Pitrus like Tila, which is the dark sesame. Because Yama has a combination of Deva and Pitrus, you can do Tarpanam for Yama either by this way or this way. So, so you can put your punal from left to right, like you do Devakaryam, or you can also do it from right to left. So it is suggested people who are fathers are dead can do it in the Prachina Viti, and so because Yama Tarpanam and Bhishma Tarpanam, those two are supposed to be done by everybody. Even for people who are alive, father, grandfather, everybody is alive too. The youngest person is supposed to do Yama Tarpanam and Bhishma Tarpanam. So those two Tarpanams are done by everybody, even if the Jiva Pitru, even if the father is alive, the younger people can do these Tarpanams. So people whose fathers are alive, they can do it by the the normal way, whereas the people who are fathers are dead can do it Prachina Viti. So that is basically one of the rules. And then normally you use Akshadas for Devas. For Yama, you take the dark sesame itself and offer the Tarpanas. So there are all the mantras, the same mantra which we say in Sandhya Vandanam, Yamaya Dharma Rajaya. So you do Yamam Tarpiyami, Yamam Tarpiyami, Yamam Tarpiyami, Dharmarajam Tarpiyami, Dharmarajam Tarpiyami, Dharmarajam Tarpiyami. So there are 14 names. 14 times 3, 42 Tarpanams you are supposed to give to Yama on this day. So you face the south direction. You can wear your sacred thread either from left to right or right to left, and then you use tilas instead of akshadas, and you give by Devatirtham, though you don't give it by Pitrutirtham for Yama, because Yama himself is a Deva only. So you have this combination of some of them will have Pitru rules, some of them will have Deva rules. That is what the Shastra says. Yama is Divirupita. He has both forms. He can take the Pitru form as well as the Deva form. So even his Tarpanam is a little mixed. It has some features of Pitru Tarpanam, some features of Deva Tarpanam is done. So you have to do this Tarpanam, and then after the offering those 42 Tarpanas with Tila, because it says 3 in 3 for every name of Yama, 3 in 3. I read the sloka there. So Yama means Yama, Yamam, 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 Dharmarajam, 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 Audumbaram, 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 Tarpiyami. You tell all that, and then after that you tell this. You do this Jabam. Nihanto Pitru Dharmarajo Vaivasvato Dandarasya Kalaha Pretadipo Dattakrutanusari Krutantaha. With that name, Etat Dashakrut Japanti. So you tell these names 10 times, all facing the south, and then you do Namaskara. Nila Parada Shankasho Rudrakoba Samudbhavaha Kalo Dandadaro Devo Vaivasvata Namostute. So you do Tarpanam, you do Japam, and then you do Namaskaram Temam. The whole procedure takes only 10 to 12 minutes. It's not a big Tarpanam. Even your normal Pitru Tarpanam may take 30 minutes, but this takes only 10 to 12 minutes. So this is supposed to be done on Naraka Chaturdasi. So after the Abhyanjana Snanam, Sandhya Vandanam, you do the Yamat Tarpanam, and then you wear your new clothes. You eat, you do all your celebrations with your family, bursting, everything, and those things. So that is the importance of the Naraka Chaturdasi part. Then there is the most important. So then I said there's a Deepadana again, which happens. I said there is Deepadana on the 13th, 14th, and the 15th day. The 14th day, which is the Naraka Chaturdasi day, the sloka is Datto Deepa Chadurdashyam Naraka Pritaye Maya Chaturvarti Samayuktaha Sarva Papa Abanuttaye. So this particular lamp, it is recommended the earth lamp, but you have to have the wick on all four directions if possible. One facing south, north, east, west. The oil is there, and you are supposed to light the lamp on all four sides. And again, this one you can light any number of lamps if your house. And this is supposed to be lighted in a little higher place. So which means you if you have a terrace in your house, you can go to the terrace. You can place it in the terrace after the you can light it there, or you can light it if there is big some uh, uh, in front of your house. If there's an elevated place, you can keep it there. So it is supposedly you tell this loka and you write all these deepas, and this one there is no limit. They say you can how many ever you can light it. The more the merrier. And but they specifically recommend the 4 wick. But if you can't do the 4 wick, do 1 wick facing east. And then you tell this particular shloka. And the reason that it says is this shloka is for 2 reasons. According to it, one, don't give me naraka. The first shloka pays for prevention from untimely death. The second shloka pays for if I have done sins, because by doing Yamatarpanam in the morning and doing this Deepa in the evening, you avoid the Naraka Bhayam. So that is what Yama says also, the Falashruti, which I read in the final. It says that at least the 1 year of sins are completely wiped off if you do the Yamatarpanam on that particular day. And if you do the Deepa on the evening, the Naraka Bhayam goes away, all the fear of going to Naraka. And also it says, if you have some of your ancestors in the Naraka, it's supposed to free them also. So that is the dual benefit of doing this. And on top of this, a Deepadana, which is different from Ulkadana. Deepadana is lighting the lamp. Ulkadana is our sparklers, which you light, which we all have, the bursting the crackers, everything. So you are supposed to do it on the evening and the morning time. And you are supposed to use the sparklers, and they use the rockets, because again the sloka for that is Ulkadana is. So after the Deepadana, the children, everybody can do the Ulkadana. They hold the sparklers, or in Tamil we used to even call Sanghachakram. We can have those things, all these things lighting up the place. And even rockets are recommended if there are rockets which go up and burst. And that's why you see in our fireworks, even in the US, they put all these colorful lights come out. That is very recommend. That kind of lighting is important. And there is a sloka for that. Is say Tula samste sahasramsau pradosha buddha darshayoho ulka hasta naraha kuryuhu pitruna marga darshanam. So during the Tula Masa, which is the Aswayuja Masa, when the sun is in the Tula Rasi, which is the Libra, when sun is in Libra, which is Tula Rasi, that is the time when the Ulka Hasta, hand, have the fire lights in your hand, and then you're supposed to rotate it or do like this and create a light. And this is Pitruna Marga Darshanam. And there is I will read the next 2 slokas. Agni Daktaschayo Jivaye Abhyak Dakta Kule Mama Ujjvala Jyodisha Daktas Te Yantu Paramam Gatim Yamalogam Parityajya Agata E Mahalaye Ujjvala Jyotisha Bardma Prapashyanto Vrajantute. So what it says is, by doing these sparklers and creating these lights, you show the path for the Pitrus. Pitruna Marga Darshanam. Because it is said that the Pitrus have come in Mahalaya period, some of them get stuck in the earth, it seems. They have to go back to the Pitruloka. So for those Pitrus, and that's what the last loka says, Yamalogam Parityajya Agata E Mahale, O Pitrus who have come relinquishing the Yamaloka and who have come here to visit us during the Mahalaya, Ujjvala Jyodisha, I am showing this bright light so that you can retrace your path and go back to the Pitruloka. So Yama comes here and the Pitrus are supposed to go back. Yama is only coming for a short visit. The Pitrus are here for 15 days and some of them get stuck here. So this particular Ulka, that is, people don't know, they light, we do so much of money on crackers, we buy 1,000 wala, 10,000 wala, we burst. But the reason is actually more than the crackers, it is actually the lightings are important. That's why the Buswanam, the sparklers, the rockets which show lights, they are all more important than actually bursting crackers. And according to the Skanda Purana Stotra, it says, if you do this, the Pitrus who are stuck here, will have a, it is traditionally believed that this lighting helps the Pitrus go back to their Pitruloka again. So this is again, so there is all of our Shastras combine Deva, Pitrukaryams, everything is there. So there is importance in ancestor. So the Deepadana is for helping the ancestors in Naraka to get relief from Naraka, whereas the Ulka Dana is for showing the path for the Pitrus who are in the earth plane, they are not in the Naraka plane, to go back to the Pitruloka after the Mahalaya period that they are here. So that is the reason why we light all these things. And then on the Amavasya day, you are again supposed to light the lamps, and that too can be any number of lamps. Agdir Jodir, Ravir Jodish, Chandro Jodis Tataivacha, Jodisham Uttamam Jodihi Deepoyam Pradigruhyatam. So this is on the Amavasya Pradosha day. That's the day when you do the Lakshmi Puja also. You are supposed to light all these earthen lamps with oil, and again, ideally 4 wicks facing each direction, if not at least the east direction. Light as many lamps, if ideally in a little bit elevated place. And this is supposed to remove all the sins and give you knowledge, because light is, tamasoma jyotir gameha. That's what the Bharadana Upanishad says. Darkness removed and light is coming. Tamasoma jyotir gameha. So you can see, one is to prevent untimely death, one is to prevent Naragabhayam, one is to remove all the ignorance, and that is why Deepavali, the festival of lights, is supposed to remove ignorance. So that is the important concept also here. So we have this, all these very sequential events planned. And so this is on the Amavasya day. Then so that is the Chaturdashi day. I told about the Abhyanjana Snanam, Yamatarpanam, celebrations with the family, and then Deepadana, Ulkadana. And then on the Amavasya day, if people who are fathers are dead, they can do the Amavasya Tarpanam in the morning. And in the evening, specifically the Amavasya and Pradosha time comes, that is the North Indian Deepavali. That is when the real birth of Lakshmi is supposed to have happened. And that's why Lakshmi Puja is done in a grand way, along with Kubera and Indra, so that people can get prosperity. So you can see Deepavali has every combination. There is removal of ignorance, removal of untimely death, removal of sins, getting prosperity by doing all these pujas. And then there is the Govardhana Puja, which happens on the Sukla Paksha Pradama, which is the next day, where in the Govardhana Giridhari there are special Krishna pujas, and in the North Indian temples they use annakut. They have so much of food, like so much sweets and everything, and they offer that to Lord Krishna as a order for him to protect the Vrindavan people from the floods and the thunderstorm which Indra created. So that is the Govardhana. And then the last day is when the social events happen, the Dyuta Krida, the playing the dice game, which we talked about in our last year. I don't want to discuss again about that. If you go to the last year Deepavali session, we have the discussion of Dyuta Krida. And Yama Dvitiya, which is the brothers are supposed to visit their sister's house, and the sister is supposed to cook the food with her own hand and also serve the food with her own hand. Bhagini Hasta Bhojana. Bhagini is sister. Bhagini means with her own hand is offering the food to the brother. So the Bhagini has the Bhojana, and the brother has to eat the food offered by the sister, and then the brother also gives some lavish gifts to the sister. So the bondage of sister and brother is established. That's what Yama and Yamuna did it. Yamuna served the food with her own hand to Yama, and Yama showered with lavish gifts, and also blessed Yamuna that whoever follows this procedure, the sisters will not get will avaidavyam. The sisters will not get widowhood. So Yama says the sisters who treat their brothers royally on this day, their husbands will not die. That is the Palashruti what Yama says for doing this Yama Dvitiya, and their bondage in the family also will get better. So we have, when girls are getting untimely death of their husbands, this is a very simple procedure. They just have to make sure they treat their brothers well on Yama Dvitiya with good food, and the brothers also wish them well. That is supposed to prevents vidava status. Vidava is the widow. Avaidavya means prevention of the widow status is obtained. That's what Yama blesses for this. So these are all the various sequence of events which happen during the Deepavali time. And so we have to understand the deeper implications, so that we can follow what it is there, because we spend so much money of crackers and everything. At least there is a reason why it is done. But again, the insistence is not this causing air pollution or causing sound pollution. The crackers are what have come in the later times. The lights are what are actually recommended. So anything which brightly lights the sky or the brightly lights the earth. So, I could typically remember all the Independence Day fireworks which you see in the US. That's kind of lights which lights up the sky, or the sparklers which light up the earth. They are the ones which are preferred to be done during this Ulkadana time. So with that part, I just want to, touching facing of the Deepavali, we can quickly go to the remaining Manusmriti slokas, because we were covering essentially the Aditi Bhojanam, which is the Manushya Yajna part. And then we skipped a few slokas because last month was Mahalaya Paksha. We wanted to cover some Pitru slokas, Pitru Yajna slokas from Manusmriti. So we skipped a few slokas. So I will just cover those slokas during this time period. So we stopped with sloka number 109 last time. न भोजनार्थं स्वे विप्रे कुलगोत्रे निवेदयेत् भोजनार्थं हि ते शंसन vantashi it uchyate budaihi. So it says that the last sloka was when the Atithi goes to the host's house, he is not supposed to reveal, I am belonging to this gotra, I am belonging to this family, so that, portraying big about himself so that the other person will treat him well. He is not even supposed to reveal all those things, and they are supposed to still get the benefits of that. So this is what the 109 sloka we were talking last time, but now I'll start from sloka 110. So basically we defined the Atithi last time. Who is an Atithi? Tithi is 1 day. Atithi means no 1 day. One person who doesn't stay more than 1 day is only called Atithi. That is the definition why Manu, calls Atithiyam. And then it is called, if you read the Shastras, the name given to is Adityam. When people, Aditya is Aditya is Surya, Atityam is actually Atithi Yajna is called Atityam in our Shastras. So if you read it wrong, you think it is puja done for Adityam is Surya, Atityam is Atithi Yajna, which is done for the Atithis who come for your house. We remember the famous Taittiriya Upanishad sloka, Matru Devo Bhava, Pitru Devo Bhava, Acharya Devo Bhava, Atithi Devo Bhava. The Atithi also has to be treated like a god at that time. So the one who comes in the olden days after performing Vaishwadeva, which is typically the midday, the unannounced person who comes to your house during the midday is considered an Atithi. So you are not supposed to know him well, because all the definitions were there. That if it is your own friend who comes to your house, yes, you should still feed him food. Manu specifically tells that if your friend comes to your house, feed him food. Manu is telling not to do that. I mean not to ignore your friends. He specifically, there's a sloka which says if your friends come to your house, feed them well. It says that. But that is not called Atithi Yajna. So we should not confuse feeding our friends from the Atithi Yajna. So 110 sloka number 110. Na brahmanasya tu atitir gruhe rajanya uchyate vaishya shudro sakachaiva jnatayo gurudeva cha. In general, if to a brahmana's house, na to atithi, if the king comes, or a vaishya comes, or a shudra comes, or a saka is friend, jnatayo means your jnadis means all your relatives, your gotra people, and gurudeva, your guru comes to your house. So if a king or a vaishya or a shudra or a friend or some of your relatives or your guru comes to your house, they are not traditionally considered as atithis. So these are all the ones who are not considered atithis. Then sloka number 111. Yattu atithi dharmena kshatriyo grahamavrajet bhuktavatsu cha vipreshu kamam tamapi bhojayet. But he gives some exception. In case a king comes to your house exactly in the Vaishwadevam time, and he also comes to your house unannounced, and that's how we see it in our Puranas very much, and that also lands up in trouble also. I will, the 2 or 3 important stories related to this Atithi Yajna. Vashishta Maharishi is in the forest. He has the Nandini cow which gives him whatever he wants. Vishwamitra is the king at that time. He's not even a rishi, is the king at that time. He comes to the forest. He comes very tired. Vashishta calls him to his house in the small kutil and offers him everything. And then Vishwamitra says, I have a big army. They are also tired. Don't worry, I can feed your whole army. The whole army also gets fed. Now Vishwamitra gets jealous. How are you able to do it? He wants to take Nandini from Vashishta, and that's how the Vishwamitra Vashishta fight starts. And that's So this Atiti Yajna, Vashishta is a Brahmana, Vishwamitra is a Kshatriya. Normally it is not considered, but he also comes unexpectedly tired during the time. So Vashishta treats Vishwamitra as an Atiti and gives him all respects. But Vishwamitra doesn't, reciprocate, and that's how the whole Vishwamitra Vashishta fight starts. The other important situation, same thing. Jamadagni and Kartavirya Arjuna in Parasurama Avatara. Jamadagni Maharishi is in the forest. He is the father of Parasurama. Renuka and Jamadagni are husband and wife. And Kartavirya Arjuna, the Sahasra Arjuna, who has 1,000 arms by the blessing of Dattatreya, that Kartavirya Arjuna comes to the forest. Same thing. Jamadagni has one of the cows. He feeds the entire army of Kartavirya. Kartavirya gets, why you are a forest living sage? Why are you having this cow? This cow should come to me. He forcibly takes the cow to his home. And that's when Parasurama goes, kills Kartavirya, retrieves the cows and comes. That's the Parasurama Avatara story. So this is problem also. The Brahmana, as these are two examples, Vashishta calling Vishwamitra as an Atiti and Jamadagni calling Kartavirya Arjuna as Atiti. So these are all accepted. So Brahmana can accept Kshatriya as a Atiti also. Normally it is not there, but if he comes during that period and is very tired and hungry, you should also treat him as an Atiti. But the rule he says is, if the king comes as an Atiti, what the Brahmana should do is, if he has a Brahmana Atiti first, he should feed him first, then the king should wait, and then he can feed the king, it seems. Yatutu Atiti Dharmena Kshatriyo Griham Abrajet Bhuktavatsu cha Vipreshu Kamam Tamapi Bhojayet. First feed the Vipra in your house, and then you can feed as you like the king and his party. But if there is no Brahmana already in the house, you can directly feed the king himself as an Atiti. And that's what Vashishta and Jamadagni did that day. Same thing. Vaishya Shudravapi Praptau Kudumbe Atiti Dharminau Bojayet Saga Brityais Tavan Andrushim Shyam Prayojayan. Vaishya Shudravapi Praptau Kudumbe Atiti Dharminau Bojayet Saga Brityais Andrusham Shayam Prayojayan. The word Andrusham Shayam means without hatred, who has compassion. So if a Vaishya or a Sudra also comes to the house at the time of very tired in the afternoon, you can treat them also as an Atiti. But the rule here is Bojayet Saga Brityeshu. So if you have, because everybody has some servants in their home in the olden days, you can have the Vaishya and the Shudra feed along with your other servants at the home. So if it is a king, feed the Brahmana Atiti first and then feed the king. If it is a Vaishya and Shudra Atiti, again feed the Brahmana Atiti, and then there is a time when your workers are at your home are eating, along with them, feed the Vaishyas and the Sudras at that time. Don't, Andru Samshay means don't be hard on them. Don't say you're a Vaishya, Shudra, I won't feed you. It says be compassionate and feed them also, but you should feed them along with your workers. That's what it says. The next sloka is Itaranapi Sakyadin Sampritya Grahamagadan Bojayet Prakrutya Annam Yatashakti Bojayet Sahabaryaya. And again it says now it's how to treat your friends. Itaranapi Sakyadin Sampritya Grahamagatan. Those friends of you who are liking you, they are coming out of love to see you. Give them the best of food. Prakriti-annam yatashakti Bojayet Sahabaryaya. You and your wife together should feed them. So it is the importance of friendship. But Manu is telling, if your dear friends who are coming to see you, they are coming out of love to see you to your home, Prakriti-annam yatashakti. Create the best of foods for them. And along with your Bharya, with your wife, serve your friends. But again, this is not considered Aditi Yajnam, but Manu is not neglecting the social aspect. Treat your friends well. That's what he's trying to emphasize there. But so he says about who is an Atiti, and then how to treat a king and a Vaishya and a Sudra, and also how to treat your friends. And then he gives a couple of more exceptions. Suvasinihi Kumarishcha Rogino Garbini Striyaha Atitibhyo Agre Evaitan Bojayet Avicarayan. Suvasinihi Kumarishcha Rogino Garbinihi Striyaha Atitibhyo Agre Evaitan Bojayet Avicarayan. This sloka has two different meanings. I will tell the easier meanings. Easier meaning is Suvasini means like married girls who have come to your house. Kumaris mean young girls. Rogina means deceased persons in your house. Garbini means pregnant woman. Garbini Striya means pregnant woman. For all these people, Suvasinis, Kumaris, Roginis, and Garbini Striyas, it says don't follow rules. Atitibhyo agre, you can feed them even before the Atiti. Avicharen, don't even. So basically, it says don't starve the young girls, don't starve the pregnant woman, don't starve a deceased person. But Medaditi also interprets this literally, says as soon as you feed the Brahman Atiti, you can feed them, you no need to wait for other rules. But the other interpretation is Atitibhya Agre means you can even feed before your Atiti. So basically, you have compassion for pregnant women, deceased people, and all. You no need to follow all the Atiti rules for them. Avichar means without contemplating, just feed them. Then the sloka number 115 is Adatva tu etabhyaham पूर्वम अदत्वातुय एतभ्यः पूर्वं भुङ्क्ते अविचक्षणः स भुञ्जतो न जानाति स्वगृद्धै जग्दिमात्मनः अदत्वातुय एतभ्यः पूर्वं भुङ्क्ते अविचक्षणः स भुञ्जातो न जानाति स्वगृद्धै जग्दिमात्मनः. So actually, let me finish the sloka 116, then you will understand the meaning of sloka 115 better. And even in order, I think it would have been better. The 116 is before, but that's how the slokas are. I will read the 116 sloka. Bhuktavat swata vipreshu sweshu bhrityeshu chaivahi bunjiyatam tataha paschad avasishtam tu dampadi. Bhuktavat swata vipreshu sweshu bhrityeshu chaivahi bunjiyatam tadaha paschat avasishtam tu dampati. It says the real grahastha asrama should first feed the atiti, the vipra atiti who comes to his house, sweshu, all his friends and relatives, bhritya, all the workers in the house have to be fed, and only after the workers are fed, the dampati should eat food. So we and all make sure the servants eat last. But Manu is specifically saying, you as the owner of the house should eat last. Even your servant should eat before you. So the atiti eats first, then your friends and relatives eat after them, then your servants who work in your house eat, and only after that the dampati eats. That is the real grahastha dharma. And Manu says, and there is a lot of Mahabharata, Rantideva. There is like few chapters on Rantideva in Mahabharata which describes, that is enough to describe this particular sloka. We will talk about Rantideva sometimes later. We are running out of time this time, but Rantideva is a very important character in which comes in Mahabharata, because if you know the Mangu story, which happens when Dharmaraja Yudhishthira does the Yajasya Yajna, the mongoose doesn't get, only half side of the body becomes gold, the half side doesn't become gold. The whole question comes at that time, and the mongoose talks and explains what happens. That's how the Rantideva story comes, but we'll talk about it later sometime. But basically it says the Grahatashma following people should eat last, even the servant should eat before them. And the 115 sloka, we will go back to that because I said you will understand the meaning better. Adatvattuya etebhyah purvam bhunkte avichakshanaham sabunjato najanati swak griddai jagdimatmanah. He is giving a very terrible punishment. The grahastha who doesn't know this rule and who eats before purvam bhunkte avichak, without thinking, the grahastha who eats first without feeding the guest, without feeding his friends and relatives, without feeding his servants, he eats first. The problem is najanati, he doesn't know. Swag gridrai jagdim atmanah. Swa is dog, gridra is vulture, jagdi is fox, and we call wolf. Three of this will eat him after his death. So basically we all say, oh, you're going to be some people will tell like that. Basically your vultures are going to eat you. Sometimes they curse people like that. So basically he says, when the grahastha people, ignoring all these rules, eat first without taking care of the other people, they don't know they will face this punishment, swagridre jagdi amatmanaha, that after that death or during the last period, that the dogs and the vultures and the fox will eat them. So that is what Manu is telling. He always tells the benefit, also tells the problem of non doing that. And then he goes to sloka number 117. Devan Rushin Manushyamsha Pitrun Gruhyasha Devataha Pujayitva Tadaha Pashchat Grustesh Shesha Book Bhavet. Very, very important sloka. Devan Rushin Manushyamsha Pitrun Gruhyascha Devataha Pujayitva Tadaha Pashchat Gruhastesh Shesha Book Bhavet. Shesha Book means remaining food. Shesha Book, Shesham, we always Sheshamna, அது மீதி இருக்கிற சாப்பாடு. மீதினா எல்லாம் போய் பாக்கி இருக்கிற சாப்பாடு தான் சேஷம். Shesha Bookna, the Grahastha should eat only the Shesha Book. Shesha Book after what? After doing Nevedyam to Devas, after doing the Rishi Tarpanams, after doing the Manusha Yajnas, where he feeds the Atiti, Pitru Yajnas, he is supposed to offer even the Pinda in the Homa for Swada and offer it in the fire for the Pitrus. So after offering food to Devas, the Rishis, the Manusha, the Pitru, and Grihyash Devata means you have some small gods, your Kuladeva, everything in your house, offer Nevedyam to that also. Grihya Devatas means specifically the Devatas which are important for your house, do that. And after doing all these pujas only, Grihastha, the remnant, whatever is left after giving to Devas, Rishis, Pitrus, Manushyas, whatever is left, that only is supposed to eat. That is the important rule. Sloka number 118, I think we'll stop with that. Agam cha kevalam bhunkte yap pashyat atma karanat yajnashishtasanam hetat satamannam vidiyate. Agam cha kevalam bhunkte yap pashyat atma karanat yajnashishtasanam hetat satamannam vidiyate. So yajnashishtam ashanam means what is left after the yajna. Ashanam, eating the remnants after the yajna, which means yajna into Deva yajna, Pitru yajna, Manusha yajna, all the yajnas. And after the yajna, what is left, that is only is considered the rule. Hetat sata mannam vidiyate. Whereas agam cha kevalam bhunkte means aga is sin. Anaga, one of the names of Arjuna in Bhagavad Gita is Anaga. And even Dattatraya's wife is called Anaga. Aga is sin, Anaga means no sin. People who cook only for themselves and eat only for themselves, they are only eating sin. And if you remember, there is a very famous Bhagavad Gita sloka where Krishna tells exactly the same words in chapter number 3. That is it, okay. Just a second, I took the sloka there. Because the sloka, Krishna says the same thing. Yastatma ratir eva syadatma triptascha manavaha atmani eva samtushtaya karyam na vidyate. That is the one he says. He says, evam pravartitam chakram nanuvartanti yahayaha agayor indriya ramo mogam parthamsa jivati. He says people who don't follow these rules, they are only taking yajnashishta. This is sloka number 13, third chapter, Karma Yoga chapter, 13th sloka. Yajnashishta asina santo muchyante sarvakil bishaihi bunjate te agam papa e pashanti atma karanat. It almost looks like exact sloka which Krishna seems to have taken from Manusmriti itself. Yajnashishta asina santo muchyante sarvakil bishaihi. Those who take the remnants of yajna, sarvakil bishai, they are freed from all sins. Punjate te agam papa. The one who eats pashyanti atma karanat, only one cooks and eats for himself, te agam papa. Agam papa means he is eating only sin. So what Krishna is telling is, only those who cook for themselves and eat for themselves are eating only sin. Whereas those who eat remnants after giving to all these, they are the ones who are freed from all sins. And that is exactly the meaning of this sloka. Agam cha kevalam bhunkte yap paschat atma karanat yajnashishta asanam hetat satamannam vidiyate. So the moral is basically you have to cook food and at least offer to the nevedyam to your God in your house. We don't have all these we can't do Pitru Yajnas, and we don't have Atithis like olden days coming to your house. So at least a simple step is offer food to Lord Shiva or Lord Rama, whoever is your main deity in your house first. Do that and then eat it. At least that will prevent you from lot of sins. So that is why you, without even offering Nevedyam to the god, your own house god, that is going to be a big problem. मंगलम कौशलेन्द्राय महनीय गुणात्ते चक्रवर्ती तनूजाय सार्वभौमाय मंगलम श्रियकांताय कल्याण निधे निधे अर्तिनाम श्री वेंकट निवासाय श्रीनिवासाय मंगलम.
मंगलम गुरु श्री चंद्रमौलीश्वर के शक्ति गणपति शारदांबिके शंकराचार्य के शक्ति गणपति महागणपति शारदांबिके के काल भैरवर के काली दुर्गई के वीर धीर शूर हनुम मारुति चरणति के मल्लिकार्जुनर के செல்வ ஜனார்தனர் கே அம்பா பவானி கம்பத கணபதி சண்டி சாமுண்டி கே ஸ்ரீ கிருஷ்ண பகவான் கே ஸ்ரீ சக்கரவாசினி கே சீதாராம லக்ஷ்மண சகித மாருதி சரணத்திற்கே வித்யாரண்யர் கே विद्याशंकर के वागीश्वरी के वज्रदेग गरुड़ आंजनेयर के श्रीवल्ली देव सेना समेत सुब्रमण्यर के तुंगभद्रै के श्रृंगनिवासिनी के श्रृंगेरी पुरिயில் நிலைத்திருக்கும் सच्चिदानंद शिव अभिनव नृसिंह भारती के श्री चंद्रशेखर भारती गुरु सार्वभौमर के श्री चंद्रशेखर भारती गुरु विद्यातीर्थर के श्री चंद्रशेखर भारती गुरु भारती तीर्थर के श्री चंद्रशेखर भारती गुरु विदुशेखर भारती के मंगलम गुरु श्री चंद्रमौलीश्वर के शक्ति गणपति शारदांबिक शंकराचार्य शक्ति गणपति महा.
All right. Thank you, Dr. Jambunathan. I think we'll end this call at this time. Okay. Thank you for your lectures.
Thank you.
Please.
Just had one question for
Yes.